Hello, I'm Clarisse Fortuné. Welcome to Eye on Africa here on France 24. Coming up. In eastern DR Congo, M23 rebels are laying out their demands, including the release of prisoners and the dropping of arrest warrants as peace talks continue in Doha. Narendra Modi's visit is the first to Ghana by an Indian leader in 3 decades. The objective is to expand diplomatic and business ties in Africa and for a stronger economic presence on the continent. Ethiopia's Grand Renaissance Dam is now complete, marking Africa's largest hydroelectric project. Addis Ababa says it is essential for electrification, but downstream nations, Egypt and Sudan, have concerns about water supply. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, M23 rebels who control large areas in the east have outlined demands to the government as peace talks continue in Qatar. Among their requests are the release of hundreds of prisoners and the cessation of legal actions and international arrest warrants against M23 members. Emmett Livingston reports from Kinshasa.
M23 leaders announced on Thursday that they wanted the Congolese government to drop all legal charges against them, as well as free nearly 700 prisoners, in order to raise the chances of achieving a peace agreement. It's the first time the rebels have announced their position in ongoing talks with the Congolese government, which are taking place in Qatar. M23 rebels captured eastern Congo's 2 largest cities earlier this year, with heavy support from the Rwandan army. Congo recently signed a peace accord with Rwanda after the United States applied significant pressure on both sides to stop fighting. But the core issue remains the M23, a group commanded by Congolese Tutsis, which occupies huge amounts of territory. Benjamin Monimpa, the M23 negotiator in Qatar, said the recent Congo-Rwanda deal did not concern the M23 directly. Monimpa also called for an end to all legal charges and international arrest warrants against M23 figures, and among other demands, called for a ceasefire with the government in Kinshasa. A recent confidential report by UN experts says that Rwanda in fact maintains operational control over the M23. Kinshasa's position is that the M23 is a terrorist proxy group that Rwanda uses to advance its own interests.
And our colleague Mark Perelman caught up with U.S. Senior Advisor for Africa, Massad Boulos, who described the June 27 Rwanda-DR Congo peace deal as a historic agreement.
It's a historic agreement. This is, as we all know, this is a conflict that has lasted for more than 3 decades, and people have been suffering. More than 6 million have lost their lives, and we have millions of internally displaced and refugees, probably 8 million or more, and hundreds of thousands of refugees. So it's, from a humanitarian aspect, this has been a disaster, really, and people have suffered for very long. So it's about time to end this conflict. It's about time for the people of the Congo and the people of the region and the Great Lakes region generally to prosper. It's their right to prosper, and they deserve it. Now, with regards to previous agreements, yes, there may have been some previous agreements to some extent on certain aspects of the conflict, but there was never a comprehensive agreement like this particular one. And those previous agreements may have been signed by various, let's say, varying levels of officials, some at the intelligence level and so on and so forth. But there was never a comprehensive agreement like the one we have today, signed by both countries, and it went into effect last week on the 27th of June. This will be followed by a signing ceremony at the White House, which President Trump will witness, and both Presidents Tshisekedi and Kagame will sign on behalf of their countries. It's a broad agreement and much more comprehensive. It includes also a very important economic element to it. The 2 parties have agreed to establish a joint regional economic integration framework, and this is one of its kind, and this is the first time they go into such an agreement. In addition, this accord as well, this peace accord, provides for a mechanism of implementation, which is also new.
Already we see two diverging interpretations. There are two key elements on the security level: the neutralization of the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda militia, the FDLR, by the DRC army, and a withdrawal of Rwandan troops from DRC. But the Rwandans are already saying, first FDLR neutralization, then we withdraw. The DRC say, no, this has to be done at the same time. What is the US view on this key element?
Those things should go hand in hand, and both parties have agreed to establish a joint security mechanism. And this is a very important and integral part of this agreement. So for the first time, they have established a joint security mechanism under which all of these things will be jointly agreed upon and coordinated by the two parties. So the neutralization of the FDLR is extremely important, as well as the lifting of defensive measures by Rwanda. So they go hand in hand. They should be done simultaneously in a manner that both parties are comfortable with. We're here to facilitate. The African Union is here to also coordinate and facilitate, and so is the state of Qatar.
On the issue of the M23 rebel group, which is backed by Rwanda, the latest UN experts report says that Rwanda is clearly behind. It is not addressed in this agreement. It should be addressed in the mediation by Qatar. But you met with the leaders from the region. Did you get a commitment from Rwandan President Paul Kagame to rein in the M23, which occupies the eastern Congo and has been doing so for the last several months?
President Kagame has expressed his full commitment to this peace accord. He has expressed his full support to reach an end, a peaceful end to this conflict. And
on the M23 specifically?
Specifically on the M23 and specifically on the Doha track.
And as mentioned by Marcel Boulos, this accord aims to end a conflict that has lasted for more than 3 decades, killing over 6 million people and displacing 8 million others. On the other hand, the US president's policy has also had a collateral effect on the conflict. Donald Trump's push to slash public spending has led Washington to scrap a critical contract to supply emergency kits for rape survivors in the DRC. Laurent Bersecher has the story.
In the DRC's embattled North Kivu region, sexual violence has long been used as a weapon of war. This rape survivor has come to the clinic to seek medical help after contracting a sexually transmitted disease.
After I was raped, I started to feel an infection in my genitals. The doctor gave me the medication, which I must take for 10 days.
This emergency rape kit, also known as a PEP kit, contains HIV medication, antibiotics, and contraception material. But supplies are beginning to run low after a contract for 100,000 additional kits was recently cancelled by the Trump administration. The move, which was part of ongoing U.S. efforts to reduce the country's deficit, has left North Kivu facing a massive shortage of medical supplies. Only 13% of sexual assault victims are now able to receive proper care, according to the UN, and medical professionals on the ground have begun to call for other donors to step in to bridge the gap.
If victims don't receive preventive medication within 48 hours, it will have repercussions on their life and health. They can develop sexually transmitted infections, as we said, including HIV, viral hepatitis B, viral hepatitis C, and even pregnancy.
Some 67,000 cases of rape have been reported in the DRC since January, with the actual figure likely to be much higher.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, on his first visit to Ghana, outlined plans for deeper ties between his country and Africa. He underlined his country's expanding diplomatic development and business footprint in Africa. New Delhi increasingly vies for a stronger economic presence on the continent, along with China and Russia.
Our development partnership with Africa is demand-driven. It is focused on building local capacities and creating local opportunities. Our objective is not just to invest, but to empower, to help develop self-sustaining ecosystems. We welcome Ghana's own efforts to accelerate economic integration under the African Continental Free Trade Area. Ghana also holds great potential to become an IT and innovation hub in the region.
Ethiopia's mega dam is now complete. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam was launched more than 10 years ago and is considered Africa's largest hydroelectric project. Addis Ababa claims it is vital for its electrification program, but it has also sparked tensions with downstream nations, Egypt and Sudan, which are concerned about its impact on their water supply.
10 million cubic meters of concrete, holding nearly 75 billion cubic meters of water, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is set to produce more than 6,000 megawatts of energy, more than doubling the country's current production. In the making since 2011, the multi-billion-dollar project has now officially been completed 2 years ahead of schedule. And Ethiopian authorities say it will have a massive impact on the population.
More than 50% are not yet electrified. This energy will change the access coverage of the country, and at the same time, this energy will also help to attract investment into the country and make impact positively on the economy.
But the dam also carries its share of controversy and has fueled tensions between Ethiopia and its downstream neighbors. Egypt in particular has opposed the project, saying it would deplete its share of the Nile River, with the country's president calling the dam an existential threat. Similar concerns were also expressed by neighboring Sudan, which relies on the Nile's water for most of its agriculture. Ethiopia, meanwhile, says it's within its rights to build the power plant, but has repeatedly committed to finding a solution that would benefit all parties. Negotiations over the issue have been ongoing for years, but a compromise has yet to be reached.
And we'll leave you with some music as we return to Congo, listening to Congolese Rumba with the singer Mbilia Bell. She is featured in a recent film that highlights women in this male-dominated musical genre. The film is called Congolese Rumba, The Heroines. Let's have a listen. Thank you for watching France 24.